These are 50 facts about money. Number 50. The British pound sterling is over 1,000 years old. It's actually the oldest currency still in continuous use today, dating back to the Anglo-Saxon period 1,200 years ago. It evolved out of the sterling silver penny first introduced in 760 AD, probably by King Offa of Mercia. Number 49. The penny cost more than it was worth. For a long time, the US Mint was literally producing a penny at a loss. By the time the suspension of the penny was formalized, every single penny cost 3.69 cents to produce, when accounting for a mix of material and labor costs. Number 48. Money is filthy, and we're not just talking about its corrupting influence over the soul of humankind. It is literally dirty. In addition to trace amounts of cocaine from all the Wall Street bros honking nose candy in the decadent 80s, the average dollar bill in New York has another problem. A 2014 study found they carry over 3,000 different types of bacteria, and that includes some pretty scary drug-resistant strains that you really don't want to let into your body. Number 47. Zimbabwe had a $100 trillion banknote. Hyperinflation is real, and Zimbabwe had a downright legendary case of it. It was first introduced in January of 2009 after total economic collapse led to absurd rises in prices for consumer goods. The Zimbabwean mint needed to create larger and larger currency denominations to keep up. Now that Zimbabwe is a much better place, these insane banknotes are actually turning a profit. People often buy the deranged $100 trillion banknotes as a unique souvenir. Number 46. There's a US coin that is literally illegal to own. The 1933 Double Eagle, one of the rarest coins in existence. It's made of 90% gold and 10% copper and produced in an extremely limited number during the Great Depression, but never actually circulated to the public. The government ordered all but 2 of them to be melted down, but 20 were stolen. 9 were found and destroyed, leaving only 13 in existence. And we can only assume that if you got your hands on all 13, you'd have some kind of superpower. To this day, the Secret Service is tasked with hunting them down, and if you come into private ownership of one of them, you're breaking the law. Number 45. In 2018, Samsung accidentally made 2,000 employees multi-millionaires. The 2018 Fat Finger incident was a full-on catastrophe. Samsung Securities, the trading wing of the tech giant, made a massive boo-boo while issuing stock dividends to 2,000 Korean employees. They accidentally issued 2.8 billion shares, each one worth about 1,000 Korean won, resulting in the shares being worth over $100 billion, 30 times the market cap of the company itself. The issue was later rectified, but it made Samsung stock tank 11%. Number 44. There's a fortune in Bitcoin hidden in a Welsh landfill. James Howells, a Welsh computer engineer, made one mistake that probably haunts him daily. He accidentally handed his girlfriend a hard drive with his Bitcoin wallet, and she threw it out with the trash. The content of the wallet is currently around $751 million. It is buried under tons of trash in the Newport landfill, after the local high court ruled that James had no hope of ever finding it again. So if you've got a shovel and a life to waste, we hear that Wales is lovely this time of year. Number 43. There's a secret symbol that unites almost all paper money worldwide. The symbol is called the Urian constellation, a pattern of symbols based on the Orion constellation that was standardized along with advances in computer technology in 1996. No, this isn't some weird Illuminati New World Order type thing. It's a consistent pattern that can help imaging software recognize these kinds of documents in digital imaging. It is mainly used as a mechanism to stop that software being used in a counterfeiting operation. Number 42. Almost no currency was more unlucky than the Hungarian penge. This currency was introduced on the first day of 1927, and it wouldn't even last 20 years before hyperinflation made it utterly worthless. Much like Zimbabwe, when hyperinflation hit Hungary at the end of World War II, denominations in the trillions started getting printed real quick. The last banknote for the penge ever produced was for 1 sextillion of them, making it the worst case of hyperinflation in human history. Number 41. Meme coins make money really stupid. This is a particular subset of cryptocurrencies that are based on internet memes or other dubiously humorous concepts online. Some of the most infamous examples include Dogecoin, Pepe, Bonk, Hawk, the rug pull coin based on the Hawk Tuah meme, and of course, who could forget Monkey Jizz? Things like this just might be why aliens don't visit us. Number 40. You might have never even heard of the world's strongest currency. It isn't the US dollar, or the pound sterling, or the euro. It is the Kuwaiti dinar. Its position on the international market is bolstered by Kuwaiti's oil riches and the government's tight control over inflation, making it one of the most stable currencies in the world. Number 39. The Nazis tried to use hyperinflation as a weapon. It makes sense that one of the most evil governments in history would try to wield the dark specter of hyperinflation against their enemies. But if you could believe it, it's gonna get worse. It was called Operation Bernhard, and the plan was simple: forge fake British money and then distribute it through England to devalue the pound. And what made this plan particularly diabolical? They forced concentration camp prisoners to make the counterfeit money. Number 38. Rye stones are the world's most inconvenient currency. Yes, even more inconvenient than monkey jizz, if you can believe it. This is because the bizarre ancient money was literally a giant circular piece of limestone with a hole in the middle. And when we say giant, we mean physically larger than a person. You would have a really hard time fitting that into your wallet. Employed by the Apisi people of Micronesia, the way it worked was very different to money today. The stones would stay in place, but when the ownership was transferred, the transfer would then be added to the oral history of the area, which would confer a kind of clout value to the owner. Number 37. In Hong Kong, an actor might secretly control the stock market. Okay, well that's oversimplifying it just a little, but the Ting Hai effect was a bizarre self-fulfilling prophecy that struck the Hong Kong stock market several times, starting in 1992. The actor Adam Chang played a villain called Ting Hai in the financial drama The Greed of Man, whose gruesome death scene was seen by some as a curse on the stock market itself. Since then, some stockbrokers have observed a bizarre phenomenon, where every time a new show starring Adam Chang airs, there is an inexplicable dip in the Hong Kong stock market. Is Chang really stock index poison? Probably not, but it's a perfect example of how playing the stock market is often much more a bunch of superstitious gambling than any kind of exact science. Number 36. Some teen girls almost collapsed a bank in Japan. This isn't a story of three ambitious young bank robbers trying to fund their J-pop idol group with their ill-gotten gains. We're talking about the Toyokawa Shinkin bank run incident. In December 1973, three teen girls were chatting about future careers on their way to school. One joked, "Is Shinkin Bank dangerous?" as in dangerous to work at if a robber shows up. But that rapidly spiraled when it was intercepted as, "Is Shinkin Bank a dangerous place to put your money?" The rumor quickly passed from person to person, and it mutated into the belief that the bank was imminently about to collapse, which led to a bank run. People panicked and they started taking out their money, with around 5,000 customers getting roped into the madness. Number 35. India's worthless banknote was here to spite politicians. Since their creation in 2007, an anti-corruption NGO called the Fifth Pillar in India has printed off fake novelty banknotes based on the only 50 rupee banknote, except these notes had a big fat zero on them. Why? Well, it's because these notes are designed to be given as fake bribes to corrupt politicians to make fun of them and then protest these elected officials selling their influence for cash. Number 34. In contrast, the US thought about making a $1 trillion coin. Back in 2011, during the United States' debt ceiling crisis, one wacky proposed solution was a platinum $1 trillion coin that would immediately bypass the country's borrowing limit. Economist Paul Krugman threw his weight behind the controversial idea, saying that anyone who opposed it was just uncomfortable with the way that it revealed money as a social contrivance. But the idea was officially rejected by the Federal Reserve in 2013, though it has been proposed again a few more times in the decade and some change since then. Number 33. The UK actually does have a £100 million banknote, also known as the Titan because it is absurdly huge. This non-circulating note was created to back the value of the Scottish and Northern Irish banknotes, creating a link between them and the currency minted in England and Wales. They're all locked away together in the Bank of England vault, but hey, if anyone plans on putting together an Ocean's 11-style heist team to go get them, who are we to try to stop you? Number 32. Chinese hell money keeps the dead out of debt. This is a form of joss paper, ceremonial incense paper used in Chinese ancestor worship practices designed to look like modern money. They're burned as a form of respect, meant to keep your dead family members solvent in the afterlife. However, if you happen to get your hands on some hell money, make sure you just don't give it to any living people in China. It's considered a grave insult, maybe even a death threat, as if to say you're gonna need this money later when I kill you. Number 31. In 1997, the Congo punched a hole through all of its money. They didn't just do it for fun. Prior to that point, they'd suffered under the totalitarian dictatorship of Joseph Mobutu, who had the national approval rating of genital herpes at the time. But after Mobutu was gone, it was hard to change out all the currency overnight, but nobody wanted to look at his face every single time they made a financial transaction in the meantime. So the solution? They punched a hole right through all their money, removing Mobutu's face from the money until they could print new bills. Number 30. In the 1920s, Germans found creative ways to use their useless money. World War I was economically devastating for Germany, creating our old friend hyperinflation, and also setting the stage for a demagogue like Hitler to rise to power. But before a man with a silly mustache tried to wipe out multiple races and sexualities, average Germans had a lot of money that was now not really worth anything. But being industrious people, some folks used their worthless money as a kitschy wallpaper. Other people gave it to their kids to use as toys. Seeing as the German mark was less valuable than the modern-day sticky note at this point, we really can't fault them for that. Number 29. Scrip kept people alive during the Great Depression. Scrip is any source of replacement for legal tender, from an IOU to a wooden nickel given out to plantation workers in the Deep South. And during the Great Depression, huge amounts of scrip were made by different communities to give out to American workers when the printing of legal currency fell short. Scrip would often have a limited use window to keep it circulating and prevent the kind of hoarding that makes economies lock up. We'd maybe live in a better world where billionaires had to actually spend their money, too. Number 28. The former Afghanistan finance minister is an Uber driver now. Khalid Payenda once had a pretty sweet gig, managing a treasury of over $6 billion. But when he heard that the US military were pulling out of the country in 2022, he decided it was probably best to make tracks, as the Taliban would inevitably retake the country. Since moving to the US, his life hasn't been quite so glamorous. He now drives an Uber in Washington, D.C., making $150 for 6-hour work sessions. Hey, it's all about the grind. Number 27. U.S. money used to directly threaten you. These days, the catchphrase you see on American bills is, "In God we trust." But back in the 18th century, colonial money needed to be a lot more hardcore. While the fledgling country was still finding its feet, some bills instead featured a slogan that said, "To counterfeit is death," because counterfeiting was, at the time, a capital offense. Number 26. Pablo Escobar spent $2,500 on rubber bands. And what does this have to do with money? Well, it's why he spent that much on rubber bands. As the king of cocaine, Escobar dealt in cash only, the drug dealer special, and he was making so much at the height of his riches that he needed to buy all those rubber bands to keep the rest of his cash together. There's ballin', and then there's Pablo Escobar ballin'. Number 25. One of the most valuable coins in the world is also one of the largest. Canada's Big Maple Leaf, yeah, it's really called that, is a giant Canadian $1 million coin with Queen Elizabeth's face on it. It's made of 99.999% gold, some of the purest gold in the world, and it weighs in at 220 pounds. Despite the coin having a face value of a cool million, the actual value of the coin is 12 million, which is great, assuming you could figure out how to haul the thing around. Number 24. Ripping Australian money in half also has its value. There are actually some very specific rules around this. If 50% of the banknote is missing, the banknote is worth half of its original value. And if you've got half of a ripped-up $100 banknote, you've got $50. The money is only worthless if there's less than 80% remaining. Number 23. A lot of cash is not vegan-friendly. The difference between vegetarians and vegans is that vegans won't use anything that involves animal byproducts at all. As a result, there is a lot of money, including the paper cash of Britain and Australia, that vegans can't use. And that's because this money, as well as the money from over 22 other countries, is made using beef tallow. Number 22. Harvard could afford to give all of its students a free ride. This prestigious Massachusetts university has an incredible endowment of $51.9 billion, and this has led to people crunching the numbers. If they paid full tuition, room, and board for all of its 6,700 undergrads with this endowment, they would still have $32.3 billion left over. They just don't want to. Number 21. Less than a third of American adults can pass a basic financial literacy test. The FINRA Foundation ran a national financial capability study. As part of it, they gave a 7-question quiz on basic financial concepts to a representative sample of American adults. Only 27% passed. Number 20. Different bills have their own lifespan. Each different U.S. bill has its own unique lifespan, and we're going to list them here real quick. $1 bills last for 6.6 years, $5 bills 4.7 years, $10 bills for 5.3 years, $20 bills last for 7.8 years, $50 bills last for 12.2 years, and $100 bills last for 22.9 years. But none of them survive more than a weekend in our bank accounts. Number 19. You'd need to fold a dollar bill 4,000 times to tear it. This was officially confirmed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, claiming that a dollar bill would need to be double folded 4,000 times forwards and backwards to break it. Why are they so durable? Because they're not actually made of paper. They're made of 25% linen and 75% cotton. In that sense, they're a lot more durable than people, who will tear if you fold them 4 times. Number 18. The iconic dollar sign was first used in 1785. Despite being a pretty ubiquitous symbol these days, it's less than 400 years old. It's widely believed that the symbol originated from the letters PS, representing a Spanish peso, with the letters slowly overlapping one another until it morphed into the distinctive dollar sign symbol we know today. Number 17. There are plenty of $2 bills out there. It's the rarest denomination of US currency, and like the penny, they don't make it anymore. However, there are still 1.6 billion of these bills floating around out there, and a strange folklore has built up around the idea of it being some kind of bad omen. When these believers encounter the $2 bill, they tear off the corner to break the curse and render the bill useless in the process. Losing $2 seems like the real bad luck here. Number 16. There's an ATM on literally every continent of the Earth. Yes, we are very much including Antarctica in that, because there is an ATM at McMurdo Station in the frozen wastes. There's also one on Easter Island. You can't escape money anywhere. Number 15. The Knights Templar ran some of the first banks in the world. Back during the Crusades almost a millennium ago, the devout Knights Templar ran a series of forts throughout the Middle East, where they could help protect the path for Christian religious pilgrims. Since it was incredibly dangerous to carry large amounts of gold during these pilgrimages, the Knights offered a system where you could leave your gold at one of their forts. They would then give you a letter of credit so you could redeem that money at any other Templar fort along the path. Services like these made the Templars incredibly rich, so much so that it started to make the Vatican a little bit nervous. The Pope ordered the Templars to be executed as a result, which we could only imagine caused one hell of a bank run. Number 14. Only 8% of the world's money is actually physical cash. That's kinda terrifying, isn't it? In our brave new world of online banking, the majority of global currency is fairy dust on various computer hard drives the world over. Really makes you think that the world's governments should be maybe investing a little more heavily into cybersecurity. Number 13. The TSA is robbing us blind through loose change. Over the last 13 years, the TSA has picked up over $10 million in loose change that gets left at different airport security checkpoints. These coins are put into a special fund to allegedly improve security, though we wonder if they're improving security by putting nicer couches and bigger TVs into the TSA break rooms on our literal dimes. Number 12. If you stacked dollar bills a mile high, you'd have $14.5 million, which is maybe not the most responsible use of your money. Number 11. US money is filled with security threads to prevent counterfeiting. These are UV-reactive threads woven into the fabric of the bills, and they glow different colors depending on the denomination of the bill. Grab a UV light if you've got one and take a look. $5 bills have blue threads, $10 bills have orange threads, $20 bills have green threads, $50 bills have yellow threads, and $100 bills have pink threads. Like one expensive rainbow. Number 10. The US government once accepted postage stamps as money. Back in the Civil War, coins were still the currency du jour, and people weren't eager to part with them because, well, in wartime, metal is valuable. In order to address the issue, the government put into place a temporary law that allowed US postage stamps to be used as legal tender. The problem was, this then resulted in a shortage of stamps. It's really hard to win in government. Have you noticed that? Number 9. History is littered with edible money. One of the oldest currencies in the world is salt, vital as both a condiment and a way of preserving food. Salt is so tied in with money that the word salary is actually derived from the Latin salarium, meaning the money given to Roman soldiers used to buy salt. And then there's reng, a ball of turmeric spice that acted as currency on the Solomon Islands. And of course, cocoa, the delicious chocolate beans in Mexico and Central America. But we think our absolute favorite is Parmigiano Reggiano, used as currency and even bank collateral in Italy. Gotta get that cheese. Number 8. Animal pelts have also historically been a currency mainstay. Beaver pelts and buckskins were one of the cornerstones of trade between the First Nations people and the European invaders in the 1700s. It's even why some people call dollars bucks in the modern day. But hundreds of years before this, back in medieval Russia and Finland, squirrel pelts were a popular form of currency. Much like bucks, the legacy lingers. The Finnish word for money, raha, originally referred to fur of squirrel. It's all connected. Number 7. The holy water dollar is one of the weirdest commemorative coins ever. In 2007, the island nation of Palau released a limited series of silver dollars depicting the Virgin Mary. Each one contains a tiny vial of holy water taken directly from a grotto in Lourdes, France, where the Virgin Mary was supposedly sighted 150 years prior. The coin bore the words Ave Maria, Lord. A wonderful gift for all the big Virgin Mary fans out there, we guess. Number 6. The global economy was once reliant on pigeons. Before telegraph networks were set up across Europe, messenger pigeons were the key to transporting market updates, financial news, currency exchange rates, and stock prices. This was because they were often faster and more accurate than trains at the time. There's a certain romance to that. We'd live in a better world if you could send your stock purchasing intentions off in a messenger pigeon rather than just opening the Robinhood app. Number 5. You know that weird metal smell you get after handling loose change? That's not the coins, it's you. Your skin oils react with the metal and break down into compounds that give it a unique smell. Next time you give a dime a sniff, just remember you're huffing other people's sweat and oils. Suddenly, Apple Pay seems so much more attractive. Number 4. $50 billion of Monopoly money is printed each year. It's somehow the only thing more capable of tearing happy families apart than real money. Number 3. There are 182 official currencies in the world, and no, we're not counting those crypto meme coins, or we'd be getting into the thousands and most of them would be worthless. Number 2. There are actually plenty of good reasons why there are ridges on the sides of coins. Most prominently, the distinctive ridge pattern makes the coins harder to counterfeit. Just like the paper money anti-counterfeit measures we mentioned earlier, the ridges also give coins a tactile feeling that gives them a classic heft of older currencies, where people would make manual cuts into the edges of the coins to show their authenticity. And for lovers of bar tricks out there, the ridges in coins are what gives them the ability to properly flip in midair when you toss a coin, and we think it's worth it for that alone. Number 1. People initially didn't want to put faces of presidents or other famous people on their coins in the US. Initially, they were all going to have more non-representational symbols of America, like Lady Liberty and the bald eagle, and this was because British coinage featured the faces of monarchs, and the newly independent US, well, they didn't feel like repeating old mistakes. Oh, if they could see us now. Want to know more about money? Why not check out Why You Don't Want to Make More Than $75,000? Or watch this instead.